All right, I'll call the meeting to order of the Mont Vernon School Board at 6 o'clock on Thursday, March 24th, and we are at the Brick School. First on the agenda is swearing in of newly elected board members. Has that already occurred?
It has happened.
Oh, I have to do you.
I haven't done it yet.
And we can do
Not
you
official.
when we do our new board member, actually next meeting, I can bring up the forms. Or JPC, I can take care of.
So then, because she's filling her existing seat, she can actually still participate because she's still a board member from her previous term, right? Okay, got it. It's kind of a slip trick, right? With the chair's permission, would you like me to just continue with the
Yes,
agenda?
please, thank you.
So interviews, the Mont Vernon School Board is going to have a vacancy as of early April. Mr. O'Keefe will be resigning his position on the Mont Vernon School Board at that time. Subsequent to tonight's meeting and the SAU meeting in the first week of April. And so the board has posted for applicants for the vacant seat. I believe they've received one application to date. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, and so Mr. George Torres is here, and the board would like to interview our prospective candidate. Both assistant superintendents have 6 or 7 questions that they've developed as well, but we'll start with the board. So would the board like to ask any questions of Mr. Torres?
Ask away.
Mr. Torres, what is driving you to seek this seat on the Mont Vernon School Board?
What is drive? Well,
Yeah, why do you want this seat?
well, one of the things is I'm a fairly new resident to Mount Vernon. I moved here about 4 years ago. Was Amherst for 13 years. Before that, never really had an opportunity from a civic perspective to do anything in Amherst other than, I did coach football there for a number of years. Was involved with some of the fundraising and all that stuff. But when we came over to, when we had my daughter, decided that we needed a bigger house at that point. So wanted to stay in the district, and there was nothing actually affordable in Amherst at the time. Probably still isn't. So we did find a home over in Mount Vernon, and quite frankly, we love the town. Love the school, Mount Vernon School. I take my daughter every morning to school. She's been out for the past couple of days. She's been sick, but I was over at Souhgan. I started at the advisory finance committee for a year. I got recruited by George Bauer, who actually sits on our board at Pennshock. Then, while towards the end of my term at the AOC, I got recruited by Jim Manning and Penn for Mount Vernon board. So, and I actually, the Souhgan board for the Mount Vernon representative. Sorry, it's late in the day for me. So, and I did enjoy my time there, but my middle child is now graduating from Souhgan. I saw this an opportunity maybe now to become more emphatic over Mount Vernon with the daughter. I thought it just made perfect sense at the time. So yeah. I mean, right now, thankfully, we're kind of winding down as far as work. We're kind of on the tail end, so now it's probably a good opportunity to kind of see what I'm going to have all this free time now. So why not? But no, I love the town. I saw this an opportunity to contribute. You guys would have me. I'd love to join.
Are there any other questions from Mr. Torres?
What skills do you think you were bringing to the Mont Vernon board? Sorry.
Well, my background is in finance and accounting, so I do a lot of budgets, taxes. Not that you guys deal with taxes so much here, but I kind of worked in all different industries. I've been in forestry products. I've been in retail. I've been in energy services and now in utilities. So my background is pretty varied. But the industry I'm currently working right now is pretty capital intensive, very it's a water utility. So we have a lot of long lived assets. But the one thing you do learn there is you have to constantly maintain and invest. You know, we don't have an option to not maintain or invest. Even though we do have mains that can last as long as 140, 150 years, we have some national that are probably over 200 years old. But then you have other mains in other towns that maybe only last 25 years. Really depends on the soils. But what that taught me is, and I've been in the company now for about 15 years, and you know, you don't have an option, as I mentioned before. You have to kind of look at your capabilities as a company, see what your options are in terms of you know, funding and avenues to obtain that funding in your budgets. And you know, we live and die by budgets. So we have a set budget similar here, and we really can't go over that. You know, we have lines of credit with certain entities, and then we do have state revolving funds that we apply for, and then government grants when we get those. But you know, one of the things is we cannot, you know, stop investing. Because if we don't, you know, we end up getting a call at 2 a.m. in the morning, or you know, maybe Southern New Hampshire medical doesn't have water because of the main, and we can't. We're responsible for that, so we can't let that happen. So that's one of the things. So in a way, it's kind of when you look at this here, it's kind of almost the same thing. You know, it's like you can't afford not to invest in. I looked at the budgets the last few years here. When I looked at the fall budgets for the last couple of years, I think 3 years ago was like 11% increase, then after that was 6%, and then it was like less than 1%. So you average about 6% a year. For us, it's more like you kind of have to keep like a even trend line. You really can't, you know, have drop offs, and there are probably reasons for that as well. Yeah, some years you may have a little bit of dip, but to see that was the one thing that, you know, maybe it was a contract year, 1 year, a few years ago, and you had some sort of major capital expenditure. But for us, we try to keep an even keel with, you know, as far as what our investments are in the year. But hopefully that's something I can bring here and kind of look at it from a perspective. Yeah, you know, you have to be mindful that you do have a community that, you know, there are people that have fixed incomes. So you have to be cognizant of that, but you also have to be cognizant of, you know, who our customers are. They're, you know, these kids. And you know, me personally, you know, I'm willing to invest in these kids. You know, you have to be mindful of, you know, who's actually foot the bill as well. But first and foremost, it's the kids. That's one of the.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers.
You did, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes.
Ms. Hinckley?
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our district and our board over the next year?
I will say this. I looked at. I went back and I looked at. I think the last time Mount Vernon Village School did a facility study was about maybe 2012. I think it was about 10 years ago. And one of the things I saw was that embedded in, and I kind of scanned it real quick, that it did bring up some issues in certain areas were like kind of undersized in the building. And it brought up the nurses area, and a couple of areas were kind of undersized. But now I'm here also now that there's also a committee now to look at maybe maybe building for a middle school here. I don't know. So it got me thinking, okay, so have we, and I get it, I see why, because you have to keep your options open. You did sign a new 5-year contract with the SME before the middle school students. So it got me thinking, okay, so we're willing to look at investing, maybe pulling those kids into a new middle school, but having to address some of the issues here. Now, they may have been, I don't know, but I think one of the challenges you have to be mindful of is not be penny wise and pound foolish. Yeah, I get it. You know, I don't like seeing my tax bill going up every, you know, it's inevitable, but you know, you kind of want to see that even trend. So I think the biggest challenge is trying to, you know, address what as a board you see as needs to be addressed, or priority. You have to prioritize everything's a challenge in terms of making sure that you can't address all the needs. So you have to kind of pick what you get the most bang for your buck and kind of go from there. But either way, you know, you're always going to have individuals saying that's not the right decision, or, but at the end of the day, you just have to be comfortable with the right choice and not really kind of drain that out.
Thank you.
Hearing none, is it the board's preference to make an appointment this evening effective April 7th? Or would you like to wait until the April 7th board meeting to make the nomination? Either is permissible.
I'd be okay with the nomination this evening, and just keeping the seat pending April 7th to actually.
Motion by Sarah Lawrence, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jessica Hinckley, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries 4-0-1. Welcome aboard as of April 7th. There's a board meeting that evening at 6 o'clock.
So I have a question for the board. So, you know, I've been kind of an outsider, from SAU, and I would imagine some of the challenges we had at Souhgan probably something similar here, but what would you say is probably some of the biggest issues you guys have?
The middle school stuff is gonna be pretty
It's the
big.
biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Just because I got voted down doesn't mean it's not something we keep actively moving towards, because it's kind of something that's an active election. So
Yeah.
really planning ahead and making sure the town is aware and bought in to the possible solutions as much as possible and communicating.
Now, do you have a sense how the majority of towns, is it kind of, they're just exploring what
No sense.
No, yeah.
No sense currently, yeah. I think it's really, I think an awful lot more exploration needs to happen there, and, reconvening that committee and getting some more work done and being collegial with our neighbors and Amherst to see if we can come up with some solutions, maybe, so path forward, so.
A lot of opportunity.
The committee did a nice job of setting a baseline. That was feeling ideas of what was possible. Saying they got every I and T and all that, but we did a nice job of, I think it was what, 7 to 8 people on it, so it was pretty cross sectional. But it's pretty well.
But there's no
Sorry.
flashing neon sign, right? And no, there's no flashing neon sign that says this is the way to go.
Clear cut,
So, right.
no.
There's a lot of very well experienced people that were on that committee, so we were really fortunate.
Congratulations. All right, moving along, I think we will take a motion to go into non-public to discuss teacher nominations for next year under RSA 91A32 subsection C.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Lawrence. Second by Ms. Clark. We'll do a roll call vote.
Yes. Correct, yes.
Lawrence, yes.
Chekhov, yes?
Keith, yes.
Yeah.
All right, motion carries 5-0 in non-public. We do have to answer that.
Thank you, George.
See, we're like,
Congratulations.
we're not commenting.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll finish the meeting. Yeah.
All right, we're back in public session as of 6:27. And is there a motion on the table to approve the teacher nominations, I'm sorry, to re-elect the teachers that were placed into nomination this evening?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Lawrence, seconded by Ms. Hinckley. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other business before this board this evening? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lawrence, seconded by Ms. Hinckley. All in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you all. Order the Souhgan Cooperative School Board meeting Thursday, March 24th at 6:30. We're at the Brick School. We have several agenda items with the goal of being done at 7:15 if possible. First on the agenda is board communication regarding the Souhgan faculty and staff proposed bargaining unit. I'm going to ask Mr. Jago to discuss.
Sure, and this is, if you remember, this is a carryover from the previous meeting, and there was some discussion about Souhgan forming a bargaining unit. It's an opportunity to talk with district council. And as you saw, maybe it's on board notes, there is some structure to what can and cannot be communicated with the prospective bargaining unit members. The acronym is TIPS. So what the communication would have to stay away from, which makes sense, is you couldn't threaten and say, look, if you do this, we'll do, that's a bad thing. You can't ask why at this stage. You can't make promises if you don't, but you join the bargaining unit, we'll do you all this. And you can't surveil or determine who votes for what. But district council did talk about that. It is perfectly appropriate for the board to make the case on why they think, if the board felt that this is the current arrangement is what's best for employees and best for kids and best for the community, that case can be made. And the timing, I apologize because some of the timing, working with two different attorneys through this process because of some absences, the timing's been a little funky. So the plan is to have a vote either the week before by the membership, the week before, week after April break. So there still is time, and the hope is to charge the administration with drafting a letter, get some review by district council, and bring it to the board the first week and in April for your review and any tweaks. Have a chance if needed to go back to district council and then distribute it to all the prospective classifications and member sets that we. There is time for this, we're not behind at all. We just have to stay within those guidelines of the recommendation to make sure, because if you remember, this is governed by PLRB, the Public Employees Labor Relations Board, so we certainly don't want any complaints or any issues there. So the hope is we'll draft a letter with some thoughts, get some input from the board, and then once the board approves it, we'll distribute it to the prospective members before the vote in either the week before April break or week after.
So the question is there support for us drafting a letter for the board to review and approve at your next meeting? That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to say something to let them know that we're here, we're thinking about them, we still support them, no matter what the turnout is. I think it's worth it.
Perfect, so we'll draft a letter and we'll run it by council, we'll bring it back for some tweaking and some stuff, and anything to add would be great. Thank you very much.
Next, board discussion regarding appointment of scholarship committee representatives. I believe we need 2, is that correct?
3.
3, we're getting to 3.
Mhm.
So are there volunteers doing the scholarship?
So can I go quick? So
Please.
there's a couple new members. So there's scholarships that the board gets to help appoint, which seniors get them through the scholarship committee. And I think there's, Pam, is there 3 of them?
There's 3 we typically.
Yeah, 3. And so we usually have 3 board members who sit together and go through the different applicants.
How many scholarships?
3.
3 were.
But we,
granted.
then we get to
3,
do
yeah,
it.
3 every year.
Yeah, 3, and then we have to give it to our selections to Maren, and then she goes and looks to see at all of the scholarships and make sure that one student isn't getting a huge burden, huge group of them, and she can do that.
We asked her to do that.
We asked her,
Yeah, she does that as a favor.
Yes.
Otherwise, she could just take out
right,
topics and.
right, but we give her
Once
topics,
you
and
do
she
that.
has to justify to us why she would not, she would ask us for another one, so she wouldn't be selecting, we would always select any alternates if needed. But,
Stephanie, does it matter Mont Vernon or Amherst reps?
No.
It's just 3 members from the
Mhm.
7. Okay.
Yeah, and we also try to ask folks who are interested in, if they have a graduating senior to
Not.
introduce themselves.
I'd be very happy to do it a different year, but I have a graduating senior, I know most of. well,
As do I.
Class.
Yeah, you do.
Well, we are really down our numbers.
So, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it.
You got it.
Dan Stevens, Stephanie.
Dan Stevens, Stephanie.
Okay,
Very good.
I'll let Aaron know.
The next 4 issues all require non-public discussion. And so if the board's okay, I'd like to take a motion into non-public under RSA 91A32 subsection C. So moved by Dan, seconded by Stephen. Do a roll call vote, starting with John.
Glover, yes.
Ron, yes.
Peters, yes.
Yes.
Lazy Herman, yes.
Dave, yes.
Very good. We are in non-public. Thank you, sir.
10 minutes, all time.
Probably a while, yeah.
It's not normally like this.
All right. We return to public session at 7:11. And we have a couple of actions to take. First, is there a motion by the board to accept 3 retirement requests for the end of fiscal year 23?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Ms. Grund, seconded by Pim. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, is there a motion to accept a resignation? Ms. Grund,
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I will second.
as of March 31st.
As of March 31st.
Motion by Ms. Grund, seconded by Ms. Peters. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, I'm placing into nomination and for renomination the full-time teachers and staff at Souhgan High School as presented. And after placing those into nomination, is there a motion to elect and re-elect those teachers? Motion by Mr. Grosser, second by Ms. Grund. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Is there any other business to come before this board?
Tons, but we don't have time.
We got 2 minutes.
Floor is yours.
Very efficient.
So without objection, I'll adjourn us. Is there any objection? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thanks, everybody.
Call to order the Amherst School Board meeting of Thursday, March 24th at 7:15 p.m. We're at the Brick School. And we, I believe, are immediately going to go into non-public. So I'd like to entertain a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3(2) subsection C. Is there a motion?
I'll move that motion.
Motion by Mr. Gothier, seconded by Ms. Bean. Roll call vote.
Gothier, yes.
Bruce, yes. Bean, yes.
Conklin, yes. White, yes.
We're in non-public. Sorry, Danae.
You can bring your computer with you.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Danae. For minutes.
And then I don't have to.
Right, this is not taking. Yes, yeah. We need to wait for you.
Thank you, Janae. You're so much better. She stuck around.
So you probably got lots of minutes done in the hallway. I was working on the agenda for Monday.
Oh, good.
All right, we've exited non-public as of 8:14. First, I believe there's a motion.
I was gonna make a motion to accept the list of resignations for the end of the school year.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Conklin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, is there a motion regarding early retirement?
I'll make a motion to accept an early retirement request.
With the stipulation that it is non-precedent setting.
Yes, with a stipulation it's non-precedent setting and that the payout will come in FY 23 under the 14-15 category, 14-5 category, excuse me.
Very good.
With a response by April 11th of 2022.
I got it too today.
In order to accept, for the respondent to accept this arrangement.
I second.
Seconded as meant, as worded.
As we're.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, I'm placing into nomination and for renomination, the slate of administrators and teachers and professional staff located at Clark Wilkins and AMS as discussed in non-public. Is there a motion to re-elect those staff?
Now I'll make a motion to re-elect that staff.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bean. Any questions, any comments, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Is there any other business for this board? Hearing none, without exception or without objection, I will declare us.
Thanks, everybody. Good job, you.